Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to cover all the tips and tricks in drywall in 101. How to cut it, score it, snap it, break it, make it look beautiful. All right, so let's talk measuring. It's easy to get the measurement of the length, especially if you have two people. But the secret here is you need to measure at the end and the middle and at the other end again, so that you know how out of square the room is. And to transfer that measurement on the drywall so that when you bring it up here, all your right measurements are in the right place. The reason I want to measure the middle as well is because I know the drywall is straight, but I don't know if the wall is straight. This might actually be all screwed together to a 2x4 that has a warp in it, and I could have a curved wall and I won't be able to see it from here. It's 22 3/4. So what we're going to do is give ourselves a little bit of a break, and we'll go 22 1/2, knowing that the wall will cover the gap. The middle is very consistent, 22 3/4. Wow. The freaky thing here is the outside wall and this wall were pre-existing from the builder. Would this be the first square room of my life? No. All right, it's close. It's 22 1/2, big surprise. All right. Here's the other tool that I forgot to mention you're gonna need. This is a drywall square, T-square, aluminum, just leave it in the back of your truck, it'll last forever. Don't abuse it though, you wanna make sure it stays square. This tool is fabulous. I've seen a lot of guys do it a lot of different ways when they're cutting, but what I like to use is this square because it makes my life easy. My measurement for my ceiling drywall is 112 7/8. All I do is run over to the tape, and when I hit the spot, right, I'm done. I don't even need to mark my board. Just take out my knife, keep the blade short. Remember, you're just cutting the paper. Don't have to do anything too extraneous here. And then lift up the corner, break it, step in behind. Always keeping your hands away from your cutting area. There we go. That's how to cut drywall 101. Our ceiling is also going to get cut at 22 3/8. That's the width that we're going to use. Now the fact that I can cut it continuous all the way across is awesome because I get to cheat. This particular tool has numbers running up and down both sides. So a full sheet of drywall, all you have to do is follow up to where it says 22 3/8, and then you can set your blade on the edge of the square, and then push the tip into the paper, and then with your left hand sliding across the drywall, pulling with the right hand, mark the whole sheet together at the same time. Done. Give it a little bit of a pop. Very, very fond from Happy Days. Now the sheet on the bottom is the one that I'm using here. So I don't want to set it on the ground. So I set it on my foot. And again, I'm only cutting the paper on the back side. One of the advantages of these knives, if you can't reach, you just extend the blade. And that's the piece for my ceiling. Let's just go over a few tips and tricks here on how to cut drywall. Using your knife, first of all. You don't want your blade extended too far. If your blade is really extended and you start cutting, your blade will actually bend and warp and you'll end up cutting like an S-curve. So you keep your blade short, you'll cut straight. That helps. Number two, let's say, I'm just gonna draw out a cut, or imaginary cut here, okay? So we're cutting around a box, all right? And I wanted to cut that. You can't snap that. So one of these lines needs to be cut with a saw. So traditionally what guys will do is they'll take their saw out and they'll start cutting that line. Okay, and they're jiggling around and fighting with it. The way you cut with a saw is simple. Little pressure, lots of movement. The faster you go with the saw, the easier it is, and you don't risk breaking your board. The other thing you can do, because it's only drywall, it's not finished carpentry, is you can take your mark and you can just cut down to it, cut it across, Now here's the fun part. I can just reach over, I can see my line underneath the drywall, place my knife on the drywall, and I know exactly where I'm gonna go. So I look to where I'm gonna go, which is right here. I don't need any straight tools. Just look to where I'm gonna go, and your brain does all the work for you. And then you can cut the backside as well, and you have a cut piece of drywall. You might find it necessary to trim the inside corner a little bit, but that's it. Good to go. Don't even need that saw. If you're cutting a curve, let's say you're coming around a curve wall, all right? It's the same thing before, a little bit of flex. Now, let's go up on the other side. You put that flex, can you see that shadow?
Yeah.
It picks up the shadow. So when I go to a bit of flex, I can see the shadow. And again, I'm only cutting the paper. So don't use too much pressure. And you can cut a perfect curve. Cutting across the top, and you're just taking off a little bit. Let's say you're taking off a 1/2 inch. Let's draw the line first. You can draw a line with that square. Instead of trying to draw that line with your knife in the square at the same time, really hard to manipulate something really tight together. Same thing, just draw the pencil line. And you can follow the pencil line this way by looking just in front of your knife, or you can just look to where you're going. Now, that's a horrible job. What I would suggest is if you're looking where you're going, your knife you also have to have in your peripheral. And then you're pretty straight. If you have more than one line in the same area, you know, your drywall's gonna be all confused. If you have more than one cut because you screwed up, put the block on the cut line that you want, pinch it, okay, just beneath your line, and you roll it over. And then all those cuts will come off at the same time. Now, let's say you're scribed, you've got a scribed surface, so you got a bit of a curve going on, and you want to cut that nice. Okay, so when you're holding your knife with your thumb and your finger, you've actually got almost like a tripod going on. You can squeeze the knife with your hand and leave your thumb and finger out. Now you've got incredible stability. You can just watch where you're going, using your thumb and your finger like a tripod to maintain where you're going. Because it's a curve, yowzers! And just put that little bit of a dimple in there. Create that shadow. And off you go. If you have to do a hole and you don't have your hole saw, first of all, point your finger, you can draw a pretty decent circle here. All right, there's your hole, let's say. Take your knife, do a little bit of a tripod action here. Now, if you don't have a hole saw or a rotozip, you can use your saw and you can stab it through and cut the circle, or you can just square, make a big X on the back of your drywall. All right. And punch it through. And you got a hole. All right. Okay. This is what I was talking about earlier. Close the gap on the taper joint. Okay. That one is a little split from the screw. Back it up till you get good contact. There you go. 4 screws will hold that until you finish it off. If you go near the end, you can actually cheat. You look and see if the strap goes all the way to the end. If it doesn't, back there. If you're enjoying these videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, but most importantly, comment on the videos. By all means, or a suggestion of video you'd like to see, let us know. We'd love to be in touch.